The third project for this class concerns principles of staging, solid drawing, creating appealing characters, and exaggeration. You will be having Norman do a wild Tex Avery take, with attention to staging the action, creating appealing key poses, and accurately drawing Norman. Both the scene layout and the character poses must present a clear idea of what is happening. Staging can be called picture composition. There are many books on this subject, but the animator needs to only have a basic working knowledge. For this class, you will only need to understand the basic types of shots. The long shot is used to give the audience a sense of where they are and also shows full body shots of the characters. The medium shot is used to get closer to the action. And the close-up shot is like the punchline to a joke or some other important event that the audience must know about. The rule of thirds is an easy way to determine where important areas of the scene, especially the characters, should be placed. To find the sweet spots, divide the area into thirds. The sweet spots, or where the lines intersect, are the strongest points of interest. Here are 3 things to keep in mind when staging a scene. First, don't put everything in the center. Second, if you have a busy background, move the characters to a less cluttered area. And third, with groups of characters, place them as a dynamic design element. We next address basic drawing skills. As you draw, you must keep in mind the form, weight, and volume of the character or object. Some people just draw the outside shapes. This usually creates some pretty bizarre images. Learn to construct shapes. And don't forget to use the character model sheet as a guide. The 9 wrong examples shown here are actual student attempts to draw Norman without considering his construction, that is, the circles and ovals that make up his body parts. We are already using a qualified character called Norman. If you design your characters, they must be appealing. Even the evilest villain is appealing in his own way. We now come to a major animation attribute, the exaggeration. With some exceptions, exaggeration doesn't mean just squashing and stretching a character for the fun of it, or unrealistic or overly violent action just because you can. Everything you animate must have clear meaning to advancing a story point for the audience. Basic exaggeration is simply pushing the character's emotions a bit beyond what you would expect to see in a normal human. One of the exceptions to simple exaggeration is the take, which is associated with extreme surprise. Tex Avery was a master animator of the take pose. A typical sequence of events for a take are: 1. The character is in a normal pose and is occupied with something they are doing, like reading, singing, writing, etc. The character turns and notices something unexpected. The character pauses for a moment to try to understand what they are seeing, which is something usually pretty bizarre. This bizarre thing can be offstage, so the audience has to imagine what it must be. The character then suddenly understands what the bizarre thing or event is and drops to an anticipation pose, then stretches to a violent reaction. Your project number 3 assignment is to create your own Norman take. Figure out what Norman is doing when the scene opens. Have him notice something off screen that is going to be frightful, then reacts violently when it does. For instance, don't show it, but in his mind he has seen something like a cat about to be run over by a truck. The audience doesn't witness it, but when the truck strikes the cat, Norman violently reacts in fright. Use the layout found in the assignment section for week 3. Pay careful attention to drawing Norman properly. You must animate with a pose-to-pose technique. You will probably have 4 key poses: the opening pose, looking off stage pose, anticipation, and the take. The number of in-betweens is up to you.